Ever wonder why those closest to you suddenly treat you like an enemy? Something invisible is shifting in your social circle, and it is far more calculated than you realize. Today, we explore a psychological shift that transforms deep affection into cold resentment. If you have recently felt a strange chill from friends or family, you aren't imagining things, you are witnessing a silent psychological war. Carl Jung, the pioneer of deep psychology, uncovered a disturbing truth about why your personal evolution feels like a threat to those around you. He believed most individuals live in fear of their own shadow, those hidden aspects of character they refuse to acknowledge. When you decide to heal and elevate your life, you unintentionally become a mirror for their deepest failures. Jung noted that people will go to extreme lengths, even self-destruction, just to avoid facing their internal darkness. Your light doesn't just guide, it exposes the shadows of others. To understand this hostility, we must first look at the mechanics of human connection. Most relationships are built on a silent contract, an unspoken agreement that both parties will stay within a certain emotional range. When you break that contract by growing, you force the other person to re-evaluate their own position in life. For someone who has spent decades avoiding their own potential, your sudden rise is an indictment of their stagnation. They don't see your success as a victory for you, they see it as a failure for them. This is the birth of the shadow war. But what Jung found regarding your actual transformation is what truly unsettles people. He argued that once you quit performing the specific role others assign to you, you ignite a process known as projection. They stop seeing the real you and start seeing their own stagnant potential reflected back in anger. You aren't being judged for your new self. You are being punished for the growth they lacked the courage to pursue. Jung famously said that anything which provokes us in others leads towards self-discovery. However, the average person lacks the stomach for such intense introspection. Instead of fixing their own lives, they decide it is easier to dismantle yours. Consider the family dynamic. Every family has a narrative, a set of rules about who is the smart one, the troublemaker, or the caregiver. When you step out of your designated box, you disrupt the entire ecosystem. The caregiver who suddenly starts setting boundaries is no longer useful to the family's dysfunction. The troublemaker who gets sober and starts a business shatters the family's excuse for their own misery. You have essentially committed an act of psychological treason against the family unit. This is the moment your relationships begin to fracture. Jung discovered that every soul possesses a shadow self, a basement of rejected traits and buried emotions. When you finally establish firm boundaries and stop shrinking for the comfort of others, you are practicing shadow integration. You are becoming a complete human being. But to those still trapped in denial, your newfound wholeness is physically painful to watch. They loathe in you the very freedom they haven't allowed themselves to experience. Your bravery highlights their cowardice. Your clarity exposes their confusion. But wait until we discuss why your own blood relatives are often the first to strike. Jung identified a vital path called individuation. This is the difficult journey of becoming your authentic self, separate from the tribe's demands. While this is necessary for mental health, it acts as a direct threat to your social environment. Why? Because your independence forces them to realize they are still wearing chains. When you stop being a tool for their needs, the illusion of their own identity begins to crumble. They don't actually hate you. They hate that your existence proves they have been living a performance. This leads us to Jung's most radical discovery about group hostility. He spoke of a collective, unconscious shared mental blueprints that keep society predictable. These systems thrive on people staying small and compliant. When you break a cycle of family trauma or refuse a toxic tradition, you aren't just changing a habit, you are attacking the status quo. Jung saw how the collective mind works to pull the rebel back into the fold. This is why it feels like the whole world is suddenly rooting for your failure. It is a systemic immune response to your growth. It is as if the universe itself is trying to test your resolve, but in reality it is the social fabric attempting to repair a tear caused by your individuality. The collective doesn't want you to be free. It wants you to be manageable. Think about your workplace, your social media circles, or your old childhood friends. There is a gravity to mediocrity. When you start to pull away from that gravity, the friction increases. People will use gaslighting, subtle insults, and social exclusion to try and pull you back down. They will say things like, "Don't forget where you came from," or "You're acting like you're better than us." These aren't observations, they are anchors. They are designed to weigh you down, so they don't have to feel the sting of being left behind. Have you ever been told, "You've changed," as if it were a high crime? Jung explained that we all utilize personas, social masks used to navigate the world. Most people eventually forget they are wearing a mask at all. When you discard your mask, it triggers a mourning process in others, not for you, but for the version of you they could control. Jung claimed that nothing is more terrifying than truly accepting oneself. Since they cannot handle that terror, they project it onto you as blame. Your wholeness makes their internal fragmentation impossible to ignore. Jung noted that we often attack the specific virtues in others that we have forbidden in our own lives. Imagine a person who has suppressed their creativity for 40 years to work a stable job they hate. When they see you quit your job to follow a passion, they won't feel inspired, they will feel enraged. That rage is a defense mechanism. If they admit that what you are doing is possible and brave, they have to admit that they wasted 4 decades of their life. To avoid that crushing realization, they must convince themselves that you are being reckless, selfish, or delusional. Their hatred is the only thing protecting their ego from total collapse. But there is a deeper level of growth called the transcendent function that makes you truly dangerous to the ordinary mind. This is the rare ability to balance opposing forces within your spirit, to be both incredibly kind and ruthlessly boundaried, to be deeply empathetic yet emotionally detached. When you reach this state, you become unpredictable. You are no longer a pawn in their unconscious games. You have moved past the binary thinking that keeps the masses trapped in conflict. This level of psychological sovereignty is the ultimate threat to those who rely on predictable patterns. Jung believed the greatest privilege is becoming your true self, but he warned the entry fee is often the loss of your old life. Growth requires leaving behind those who only loved your limitations. The people who currently resent you aren't reacting to your flaws, they're reacting to your progress. Your healing journey is a loud alarm clock for their sleeping potential, and they would rather smash the clock than wake up. They want the comfort of the darkness, and you are bringing the morning sun into their room. What happens when the people you love become the primary obstacles to your peace? This is the most painful part of individuation. It requires a level of emotional detachment that feels almost cold. You have to realize that you cannot carry them to the summit of your own mountain. If they refuse to climb, you must leave them at the base. This isn't cruelty, it is the law of the soul. If you stay at the base to keep them company, you both wither away. If you climb, you at least provide a beacon of what is possible, even if they choose never to look up. Jung taught us that individuation isn't a hobby, it is a spiritual necessity. This friction you are feeling isn't a sign that you have lost your way, it is the definitive proof that you have finally found the right path, the one leading back to your soul. You have dismantled the walls, integrated the dark, and stepped out of the collective cage. That is exactly why they can no longer tolerate your presence. Your very existence has become a critique of their lifestyle. You are the living proof that change is possible, and for those who refuse to change, that proof is an insult. Think of the crab mentality. When one crab tries to crawl out of the bucket, the others pull it back down. They don't do this because they hate the escaping crab. They do it because they are terrified of being the only ones left in the bucket. Your escape into a better version of yourself forces them to confront the bucket they are living in. As long as you were in there with them, the bucket felt like the whole world. Now that you are looking over the rim, the bucket looks like a prison. They hate you for showing them the bars. The resentment you face is actually a form of unintentional flattery. It means you have moved far enough away from the norm that you are no longer recognizable to those who live by it. You have become an other. In tribal psychology, the other is always a source of fear. But this fear is where the power lies. If you can withstand the social pressure to conform, if you can endure the isolation of being misunderstood, you gain a level of mental strength that few will ever know. You become the master of your own psyche. As you move forward, you will notice that new people start to enter your life. These are the individuals who are also on the path of individuation. They won't be threatened by your boundaries, they will respect them. They won't be intimidated by your success, they will be inspired by it. This is the new tribe. But to find them, you must first be willing to walk through the wilderness alone for a while. You must be willing to be the villain in the stories of those you left behind. Jung's wisdom suggests that the hatred of the world is often the wind beneath the wings of the spirit. It pushes you further inward, where the true treasures are buried. If everyone liked you, you would be stagnant. If everyone approved of you, you would be a slave to their expectations. The fact that you are meeting resistance is the only evidence you need that you are breaking through a barrier. Don't seek to lower the resistance, seek to increase your strength. We must also address the wounded healer archetype. Often those who grow the most are those who were hurt the most. Your desire to evolve likely came from a place of deep pain. When you start to heal that pain, you stop being a victim. Many people in your life may have a vested interest in you remaining a victim. It makes them feel superior, or it gives them a role to play as your rescuer. When you heal, you fire them from that role. They lose their sense of purpose, and they react with hostility. They would rather you stay broken and theirs than whole and your own. This is why the process of becoming yourself is often described as a second birth. The first birth is physical and given to you by your parents. The second birth is psychological and is something you must give to yourself. It is a painful, bloody, and lonely process, but it is the only way to truly live. The people who hate you are simply the labor pains of your new life. They are a sign that the old world is ending and a new one is beginning. So, how do you handle the silent war? You handle it with silence. You don't need to explain your growth to people who are dedicated to misunderstanding you. You don't need to defend your boundaries to people who profit from you having none. You simply continue to ascend. Let your results be your defense. Let your peace be your weapon. The more they attack, the more you should focus on your own internal garden. Eventually, the noise of their resentment will be drowned out by the music of your own soul. The real question isn't why they turned on you. The real question is, are you brave enough to keep ascending while they watch from below? Your evolution depends on your answer. You are not a static object. You are a process. You are a river flowing toward the ocean. Some will try to dam the river and some will complain about the current, but the river doesn't stop to argue. It simply finds a way around the obstacle and continues its journey. As you reach higher stages of consciousness, you will realize that their hatred was never really about you anyway. It was always a conversation they were having with themselves. You were just the catalyst. When you realize this, the pain of their rejection begins to fade. You start to feel a strange kind of compassion for them. You see that they are trapped in a prison of their own making, and your growth was just a reminder of the key they refused to turn. Your task is not to seek for love or approval, but merely to find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against your own potential. Once those barriers are down, the world will react sometimes with love, often with fear, but neither reaction should change your course. You are the architect of your own destiny, and the blueprints were drawn by your soul long before you ever met the people who now claim to know you. Thank you for walking through these deep psychological corridors with me. It is not an easy journey, but it is the only one worth taking. If you have felt the weight of others' projections, if you have felt the sting of being outgrown, know that you are in good company. The greatest minds in history all stood where you are standing now. They all faced the silent war, and they all chose to keep walking. If this exploration of Carl Jung and the shadow of relationships resonated with you, please consider liking this video. It helps our message reach others who may be struggling with the same isolation. Join our community at Winds of Thought by subscribing, where we continue to peel back the layers of the human experience. Your journey into the self has only just begun. And though the path may be narrow, the view from the top is unlike anything the world below can imagine. Keep growing, keep evolving, and most importantly, keep being yourself even if it makes the whole world uncomfortable. Remember, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Don't let the fear of others' shadows pull you back into the dark. You were meant for the light, and the light is exactly where you are heading. Until next time, stay focused on your path and trust the process of your own becoming. The war may be silent, but your victory will be loud enough for the soul to hear. You are becoming whole, and that is the greatest threat and the greatest gift you can give to the world. As we conclude, take a moment to reflect on your own journey. Who are the people who have truly cheered for your growth, and who are the ones who have tried to stifle it? Use that clarity as a compass. Surround yourself with those who see your potential not as a threat, but as a promise. The path of individuation is long, but you don't have to walk it with people who are trying to trip you. Choose your circle wisely, but choose yourself first. Always, in the final analysis, the people who leave your life during your transformation are doing you a favor. They are clearing the space for the version of you that is yet to come. They are removing the static so you can finally hear your own voice. Embrace the exit of the old to make room for the entrance of the new. This is the cycle of life, the cycle of the soul, and the ultimate truth of the human condition. Thank you for being here, and thank you for having the courage to grow.